Hi everyone! Today I'll be showing you how to use the color picker in Adobe Illustrator. You'd be surprised that a lot of people think that they know how to use this tool, but they don't actually know all of the options that are within the tool. And because of this, they unknowingly limit their color options. So in this video, I will give you a complete explanation of the color picker and the options that will help you to achieve the color that you really want to get. And stay tuned to the end because I will also explain what some of those mystery symbols are within the color picker. So let's get right into it. So here you'll see that I already have a shape drawn in Adobe Illustrator. And if you want to color your shape with the color picker, you need to first select it. So I'm just going to select it with the black arrow. And I'm going to scoot this over so that we can see the object and the color picker at the same time. And the way that you pull up your color picker is to go to the fill box here in your toolbar and double click on that fill box. And that's going to pull up the color picker. Now, if you want to change the stroke of your object, you just have to make sure that the stroke is in front and then double click on that the same way and you'll pull up the color picker and it'll change the color of the stroke instead. And you can also pull up the color picker by double clicking on the fill or stroke that's in the color panel right here as well. So let's explore this color picker now. When you pull it up, you're going to see that at the very top left corner, you're seeing like a pure white color here. And then on the bottom right corner, you're seeing a very dark black color here. So it's going from your brightest white up here to your darkest black down here. And over on this top right corner is where your most saturated color is. So if you want to change the color of your selected object, you can click around on the color picker and you'll see that there are two boxes here. So the bottom box has the current color of your object and the top box has the color that you're currently choosing within the color picker. And as you click around on different parts of the color picker, you'll see that that new box changes. And then what you can see here is that you have a colorful slider. So this allows you to change the actual color. So if you slide this up, you can get more into purples and fuchsia and red. And if you slide it down, you're going into your aquas and greens, yellows and oranges and back to red. So you can use this slider as well to pick out some new colors. So let's say that I like this color here. If I'm happy with this color, I'm going to click OK. And my object turns into the color that I picked. So let's double click on that again. So this is how most people choose their colors, but what they don't realize is that these numbers here also mean something. We tend to just look at colors and just try to go for the color that we want, but these numbers are here for a reason. So by default, you're going to see that this black dot is here next to the H. And that means that your color picker is set to change by the hue, which means that when you're moving your slider up and down, you're changing the hue or the actual colors that you're picking. Meaning you can go from a blue to an aqua to a green to an orange. You're changing the actual color. But what people don't realize is that you can change the color using these other values also. So instead of changing the color by hue, you can also change it by saturation, which is represented here by the S. If you click next to the S, you'll now be able to move your slider up and down to change the saturation of the color that you're currently on. So since I was on a purple, if I move my slider up, it's giving me a more saturated version of this purple. And if I move my slider down, you'll see that the color becomes more faded or less saturated. So there's less color within the shade that I'm picking. So if I want to change the color by the brightness, I can click next to the B for brightness. And if I move my slider up, it will make it a brighter shade of the color that I picked. And if I move it down, it will make it a darker shade of the color that I picked. So a lot of people don't know that they can play with these options and get very specific about not just the actual color that they're choosing, but also the amount of saturation that they have in the color and the brightness that they have in the color. And you can get even more specific than that and use actual RGB values. As you can see here, I can change the amount of red that's in my color. I can add more red by sliding it up, or I can reduce the amount of red by sliding it down, or I can add more green by sliding up and less green by sliding down. And I can add more blue by sliding up. You'll see how blue that's getting. It's going into a royal blue. And I can decrease the amount of blue in the color by sliding the slider down. Now I can also change the values by actually typing in actual numbers. So you're not going to know the RGB values for every color, but there are a few colors that I do know the RGB values for because they're just standard. And let's say that I'm working on something and I need to have a pure white background. I know that that's 255, 255, and 255. And that gives me a pure white. I also know that 000 is the darkest black color that I can get. So I do use those two often. And sometimes I choose to use a true red, which is 255 and 00 in RGB. If you're working with a printer and you're using CMYK colors, you can also input the values for the CMYK colors here. And here where you see this pound sign, this is where you can input the hexadecimal code, which is something that mostly web developers use, which is a system of code that represents the RGB values, but it's just a different system that they use. Now, I do actually use the hexadecimal code sometimes because let's say that I want to use a specific Pantone color, and maybe the computer that I'm working on doesn't have the specific Pantones that I need built into the library or input into the library in Illustrator. I can always go online and type into Google the Pantone color that I'm looking for. And certain websites will show you the hexadecimal value for the color and even the RGB and some other color information for the color. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll copy that 6-digit hexadecimal code and I'll just copy and paste that into this box. And it gives me that actual color. So I know that this color here is the lilac snow color that I wanted to use from the Pantones. Now normally I would go on the Pantone website and use their color finder feature to find the codes that I need. But recently Pantone replaced this free feature on their website with a paid service called Pantone Connect. I'm still finding out about this service and I'm not happy that they removed the free color finder. But for me, it's not a big deal if I have to go onto another website to get those color values because I use them in an informal way, just as a guide. But if you need to make sure that you're really working with the correct values for a Pantone color, then please either look into getting the values from Pantone directly or make sure that the website that you're using verifies that it's using the correct Pantone color values. And down here, you'll see that you can check only web colors. This again is if you need to be working in specifically web colors, and it's going to limit you to only the 256 web colors that you can use. So I suggest that you don't check this unless you need to work within this color limit. And over here, you have another option to click onto color swatches. And this will bring up basically all of the color swatches that you have already within your swatches panel. If you don't have your swatches panel up, or for whatever reason you don't want to click out of the color picker, you can always find those swatches within the color picker in this area. So earlier I said that I was going to show you what these mystery symbols up here mean. So this yellow triangle here with an exclamation point means that the color that you've chosen here, the new color, is out of the gamut of CMYK colors. CMYK printing will not be able to get this bright color. This often happens with bright or fluorescent colors, so that means that if you're planning to have this artwork printed in CMYK, this color is not going to be achieved in the actual printing. So Illustrator is warning you about this, and in this box with the triangle with the exclamation point, it shows you a box with a similar color, and this is Illustrator's suggestion of the closest in-gamut CMYK color that you can use. So first, let's make our shape into the color that we want to use. So we have this bright aqua diamond here, and I'm just gonna copy that over because I wanna show you the difference between the out-of-gamut color and the in-gamut color. So let's get our color picker out again, and we're coming back to this color. And now I'm gonna click on Illustrator's suggestion for an in-gamut color. And now I'll click OK, and you can see the difference between the color that I'm trying to use and the color that will actually be achieved in CMYK. So it's quite a big difference. So if you are going to print your artwork in CMYK, make sure that you are staying within the gamut. You don't want to expect to get this and then actually get this instead. So if you're wondering what this cube symbol means here, it means that the color that you have chosen is out of gamut for web colors. So if you're needing to use web colors, you can click on Illustrator's suggestion and it'll adjust that for you. So that's everything that you need to know about the Adobe Illustrator Color Picker. Let me know in the comments below if you knew all of these things about the Adobe Illustrator Color Picker, or if you learned something new. And if you found this video useful, please give it a big thumbs up, share, and subscribe, and see you on the next video. Thanks, guys!